What it do, being crew? It's your boy Sohn Thomas. We are back with another episode of Coffee and Comments. Today we're going to review Pixar's newest movie, Elemental. Is it a good movie? Did I almost cry? Let's discuss, but first, let's take a sip. Welcome back, Bean Crew. Again, we're going to talk about Pixar's newest movie, Elemental. I went to the theaters and watched this today because I was kind of bored on Father's Day. My dad lives up in New Hampshire, so I don't really have much activity going on. My family is 3 hours away as well, so I was a little bored. I saw Elemental was out and decided to go watch it. And I should have watched the trailer going into this movie because I did not know what to expect. Part of me thought it was just a fun buddy movie. I know it dealt with relationships and a little bit interracial dating and stuff like that, but I did not know the level of romance that was going to be involved in this movie. And honestly, for a regular Pixar animated movie, this was one of the best romance movies out there that I've personally seen, because it tells two different stories, right? It talks about the story of an immigrant girl growing up in Element City, which basically is New York. Her family moved from a foreign country. You would assume, based off the communication and the words they use, it's probably a Middle Eastern country, more than likely. That also kind of fits the stereotype of people moving from those countries to the United States, looking for a better opportunity. And that kind of just pieced together and made sense when it comes to this. So they come over from another country. They start their own shop. She's raised in this shop and basically is going to take over the family business, right? They're fire people. They got tortured by people that look differently than them. So they have this rooted hatred of anybody that doesn't look like them, which is fire, right? So that's where the racism piece plays into it, because they don't like anybody outside of fire people, because also they've been treated a certain way to that other people hate them, so therefore we're going to hate other people. And so that's part of the story. But the other part of the story is the dating aspect. She falls in love with a water guy. Long story on how they get connected. You can go watch the movie to figure out the entire story. But they get connected and then they fall in love, and it talks about the romantic piece of their story was phenomenal. Their dates, them connecting, them working together, their chemical elements working together, because they're fire and water and they're not supposed to mix, but they do mix and it works out. What else? There's just so much that goes on with that relationship. His sacrifice for her. There's so much that happens, and you're just this is an amazing romance movie. And then couple that with the fact that she had to figure out how to deal with her own inner problems. She's always angry. She's dealing with a lot of stuff. You see a girl that never grew up in I don't want to call it a healthy household, but her entire lifestyle has been focused on everybody else besides herself, making everybody else happy with what they want, and never figuring out what she wants for herself. And her attitude and temper stem from unfulfilled dreams. Then she meets this water guy who grew up in a household where they communicate, where they have healthy communications. They basically it seemed like he went through therapy and kind of knew how to express himself. He was a very emotionally intelligent person, and his emotional intelligence unlocked in her a level of stability and calmness that you love to see, right? And I like the movie because of that. It showcased the ability for a man's influence, positive man's influence in a woman's life, to be able to unlock. It doesn't have to be just men and women. There's women that can come into a distable man's life and get him to be a little bit more emotionally intelligent and really connect with himself personally. And so it's a great journey. They share a lot of different things within the movie that touched on things you learn in therapy, or things that people that have gone in therapy have learned about unlocking themselves internally, communicating their thoughts, these different things that a lot of people unfortunately don't have the keys to do. It showcases that in this movie, and that's what I think I loved about the movie this much. Is for a kids movie, it was very diverse. Like, honestly, I don't know how much of this story was for kids, like, other than it being animated, and it is a little bit fun as well. There's some funny jokes in there as well, but it was it was a lot. There was a lot to unpack, right, with this movie when it comes to like everything that they're trying to put together with like races coming together, tensions being solved, and people joining together, but then also this romantic story of this couple that fall in love together that are from different sides of the world, kind of like a Romeo and Juliet, but obviously they died. They don't die in this movie, or do they? But just overall for this movie was fantastically put together. Like the plot was amazing. Acting wise, I think the main actress is played by Leah Lewis, who I'm not very familiar with. I know the person that played the water guy because he's the guy from Archive 81, which we are reviewing on the channel. So it was a good movie. It was very unexpected. I did not expect to watch a romance movie. I know most of Pixar stuff has been like in my mind I'm thinking like Toy Story or name another Pixar movie if you want to. But in my mind I'm thinking like, okay, this is gonna be something with elements where they're dealing with some type of situation where they need to come together and like solve it or whatever. But no, this was a romance movie. This was a romance movie, and so I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. Right, I gave this movie an 8.2 out of 10. Initially, I wasn't gonna review it when I first started watching it because I'm like, this is a kids movie, and as a kids movie, it is good. But honestly, this is a movie for adults too. Like this is a movie if you guys are kids at heart, you know that love like animated movies and stuff like this. As a couple, go watch this movie because you guys are gonna connect a lot more. It's a great date movie. Like I went watching it by myself, single guy, watched it by myself, and I'm like, this is a great date movie. Like if I had a girl with me, this would have been fantastic. But fortunately, didn't. No big deal. We move on. We still live. But that's my review. Elemental, fantastic movie. One of Pixar's better movies they came out with recently. Go check it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But appreciate you guys for tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Comments.